The dense tangle of the jungle conceals untold secrets, and its depths and mysteries are likely not fully known and understood by a single person on this planet, not even the native tribes that have spent their lives surviving by mastering the resources hiding within the danger. Legends abound as to what exactly could be hidden far out of sight within the Amazon, and some of these seemingly fantastical stories have their basis in fact and first-hand accounts. So today, here at Unexplained Mysteries, we'll be taking a look at 3 cases where the secrets of the jungle just might have been revealed. The mystery of the Billy Apes. Over a century ago, Belgian colonizers found a large primate skull during their rampage in the northern Congo. The locals would tell them stories of mysterious large apes that would attack and eat lions. Gorillas were never before found in this region of northern Congo, so researchers and explorers were confused and intrigued. They believed it to be an entirely new species of ape, although they never found any additional evidence or proof of life. The skull was promptly left to collect dust in the Royal Museum for Central Africa in Belgium until the 1990s, when Karl Amann read about them in a scientific article. He was a Swiss-born photographer and devoted conservationist. Enraptured by the skull's puzzle, he set off on an adventure through the dense jungles that few had traversed before. The Biliuli tropical forest covers 12,000 square miles and is a mix of impenetrable canopy and large stretches of savanna. The researchers had to trek through an impenetrable underbrush full of ants, mosquitoes, and bees that were drawn to their sweat. Despite being such a difficult undertaking, Amann ended up repeatedly visiting the forest over the span of 10 years, with various rangers, camera crew, and primatologists trying to find the elusive Billy Apes. On his first trip, he found another ape skull, which only increased his obsession. In 2004, American primatologist Cleve Hicks joined the search. He spent weeks traversing through the forest trying to find the apes. He and his team set up motion-detecting cameras and eventually captured images of the elusive Billy Apes. As it turns out, they were not a new species. They were chimpanzees. However, they were unlike any chimpanzees the researchers had seen before. They had larger skulls and feet than other chimpanzees. Their behavior was unique in that they nested on the ground like gorillas instead of in the canopy. They also used the longest tools researchers had seen in Africa to collect ants and honey. On one expedition, researchers came across a chimpanzee eating a leopard, although they did not know whether the chimp had attacked it or not. The locals called them lion destroyers and explained that even their poison darts would not affect the apes. Hicks stated that they were the largest population of wild chimpanzees anywhere in the world. He claimed that they were curious of the humans rather than fearful, which led him to believe that they had never seen humans before. Those that lived closer to civilization would flee when approached, but the apes further in would gather close to observe before quietly leaving. Since they lived in such remote parts of the jungle, it was near impossible for poachers or any other humans to encounter them. Today, though, the forest is a hiding spot for many fugitives or rebel groups and is being turned into farmland. Reports of huge snakes. In 1959, Belgian Air Force Colonel Remy van Lierde spotted something rather peculiar as he flew over the forests of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Van Lierde served at the Kamina Air Base, located in Congo, which was, at the time, occupied by Belgium. The colonel had been going home by helicopter after a mission flying over the Katanga region when he spotted what he described as a huge snake lurking within the forests. The description he gave of the snake was terrifying, to say the least, with Van Lierde describing it as reaching 50 feet long, with a head approximately 2 feet in width and 3 feet in length. He also mentioned the head being a triangular shape. If these figures are correct, these hidden snakes earn a rank amongst the longest snakes to live in all the history we have accessible. Regarding colour, this mysterious, large snake reportedly has green and brown scales on top but has a white underside. This encounter was short-lived, however, as Van Lierde and his pilot were mid-flight. The team, upon Liarde's request, made a U-turn, circling round to take another look at this alleged giant snake. Upon the team returning, the snake, assumed to be defending territory, reared his upper half. This stance was assumed to indicate he was ready to strike as a result of the team's nosy impositions. Regardless, this lifted pose clued Van Lierde in as to the snake having a white-coloured underneath. Due to the low nature of the helicopter and the aggressive position of the snake, Van Lierde commanded for the flight to continue, not hanging around long enough for trouble to come, leaving this peculiar snake behind without making any specific documentation of it. Some suggest that the photographer aboard managed to capture a relatively blurred image of this curious creature, though it has been difficult to definitively trace back to those travelling with Liarde. Mostly, people assume that this snake is a vastly oversized African rock python, a product of evolution from descent of the giant Eocene snake Gigantophis, or perhaps this is a new species of snake altogether. We cannot know for certain. The fungus that turns ants into zombies. The rainforest has long been a source of inspiration for developers of pharmaceuticals who turn to the many varieties of uniquely powerful flora and fauna that grow protected beneath the reaching canopy. However, right along the beneficial spores grow poisons and dangerous fungi of every shape and size. Unfortunately, for one of the smallest members of the jungle biome, one of the goriest of these fungi is the parasitic Ophiocordyceps unilateralis, which takes over the body of the foraging ant and controls its movements to compel it to wait for its own loss of life in a timeline that greatly resembles the zombie lore of popular culture. The deadly fungi infects ants and slowly penetrates their protective exoskeletons as it begins to control its behavior so that the infection is able to proliferate and spread. Once under the influence of the fungus, the ant will leave its nest and its duties and seek out a humid area that is more favourable to the growth of the fungus. Once such an area is found, usually about a foot off the ground, the helpless ant will latch onto a north-facing leaf vein and wait for the infection to reach its final stages and finish taking the life of the ant. As it lies there, unable to move, the fungus rages inside the exoskeleton, feeding on the ant's innards long after the ant has passed away. After the ant has passed away and has shriveled, the fungus sends a fruiting body out through the corpse's head, which acts as a base from which spores ready to infect other ants are launched. As gory as this fungus is, it's also very unusual and highly effective in its methods of infection. The ants, which have no natural defense against the fungi, have a period of incubation in which the ant does not appear to be affected and continues its life as part of the colony. Since ants have an instinct called social immunity where other ants can sense if one ant gets sick and kick it out of the colony to protect the others, it is unusual that such a prolific infection can go undetected. Additionally, the fungus sends infecting spores out after the ant is already far away from its colony, meaning that usually only a handful of ants in an infected colony are actually hosts to the fungi. This appears to be to maintain control of the host population and ensure that the infection doesn't wipe through the entire colony and leave the fungus with no form of nutrient. In a final macabre aspect, the fungus controls the behavior of the ant as it forces it to leave the colony to move to a more favourable environment for fungal growth, but it does not infect the brain. Rather, it forms around the musculature of the ant and controls its movements through bioactive compounds interacting directly with the muscles. Luckily, it does not appear that this strange fungus can infect humans or other animals, and we can only hope that it does not have a relative lurking within the rainforest, waiting for some unsuspecting human to infect.